congratulations on the movie. Like, I know we're still waiting for reviews and that, but you must be
Yeah.
so pleased with the way it's turned out.
Oh, completely, yeah. So, it was so great to be a part of, and seeing it all complete and as one thing is, pleasure.
Have you had a chance to actually see it with an audience yet, or is that kind of still to come?
No, got the premiere coming up, so that'll be really interesting. Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, I think it's one that I think you do want to see with a crowd. Just, I don't know, just because it is so funny. I think it will probably play really well.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
I think any comedy, you sort of get, if you hear someone else laughing, it's sort of a bit infectious, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's something you can enjoy together.
Yeah. And I guess does it pardon me, does it kind of still have that novelty, just given that cinemas were closed for such a long time, and it's like, oh, we're actually releasing a movie in cinemas again, like
Completely, yeah. It feels like I totally forgot about it. Do you know what I mean? For a couple of years when they were closed, and I sort of didn't go to the cinemas enough, and I should have done. I definitely took it for granted, and since they've sort of opened back up, I have. But it was so nice, yeah, because you forget when you're making it what the end goal is, but the fact that people can see it in cinemas is really lovely.
Yeah. And then I guess because you're presumably not you're not like watching dailies and rushies and that, I'm guessing. So when you actually sit down to see the finished thing all in one go, like how did that compare to when you first read the script? Was it kind of as you thought it would be, or did it turn out quite differently?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think in terms of how beautifully it looks, like aesthetically, I mean, I thought that's definitely surpassed all my expectation. But yeah, it was pretty much as I expected, which is really nice because the script is so well written. And as soon as you read the first page, you totally know where you are. You're in that world. You know these characters immediately, which is really, really lovely. Sometimes you can read a script and you have to keep reading it to try and get into it, if you know what I mean. So that was great.
I mean, obviously, it lines up a pretty impressive cast to play those characters. I think we can safely say. How was it just going to work every day and getting to work with, I guess, just people of that kind of caliber, I guess?
Oh God, it's so surreal because it's sort of like you're so used to just seeing them on the screen. So when you see them in person, it's just like, really sort of quite daunting. But everyone was really lovely and you just learn so much. This is my first sort of big film like this and possibly the last. So trying to make the most of it. But yeah, doing a scene with Adrian Brody and seeing how he works and that up close was just like fascinating.
And then I guess obviously you know the director a bit, which I'm guessing probably helps. So.
It really helps when you know the director. So I don't think I'd be in it if it wasn't for him, so I owe him a lot. But we did 3 series of This Country together, so it was sort of comfort for us both, I think, to have each other there. So it was sort of like, because this is his first big feature, so yeah.
Was that kind of what drew you to it in the first place, I guess, like getting a chance to work with him again?
Definitely, yeah. I love the way he works. I love his sort of approach to comedy and his attention to detail and, how much depth he goes into characters and stuff. So, I always want to work with him, which is really nice. And he's so talented, so he'll be on to better things, I think.
You mentioned, just detail just then. You were talking about London before, and just it is one of the things that I really enjoyed is how much it gets London right. Like, you see London in so many films where just things aren't where they should be, and it's nitpicky stuff, but it's always nice to see one where, Seven Dials is where it's supposed to be. The theatre where the Mousetrap's playing is where it's supposed to be.
Completely, because those little it just helps you get absorbed into that world, doesn't it? It's like when you do notice something that's not quite right, it's sort of, it takes you out of it. And I mean, it shouldn't, but it does. You just can't help it. But again, that attention to detail is so important. Definitely.
I'm assuming you were filming like actually in these theatres, which must have made such a difference to kind of just getting into the mindset for the thing, I suppose.
Definitely, yeah. And you sort of, and again, it was during the pandemic, so everything was locked down, and these theatres had been shut for, best part of a year, if not more. So really surreal being there when no one else was there, and like being on that stage where you can imagine all those actors have been, and that was really special actually.
Did you get tickets for the Mousetrap, like free ones at the end?
No, I didn't actually. It was a bit of a shame.
That feels like a missed opportunity, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's annoying actually. Bring that up.
Like a big cast outing once you finish doing the press, maybe.
I know. Well, the thing, I mean, obviously it wasn't on when we were filming, but maybe that should have been like a big rap party later on. Yeah.
Did it make you go back, kind of want to go back and read like all of Agatha Christie's books afterwards?
Yeah, it did actually. It's sort of, again, it's one of those things that you don't realise how much you know until you start researching that subject. And Agatha Christie is such a massive part of British culture, isn't it? Like the murder mystery, and she kick-started that, and there's been so many great versions from that have been made into sort of TV and film, and as a country we love it. I don't think we'll ever tire of it because it's just great watching.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of in the middle of like a new wave of murder mysteries now, with Knives Out and the sequel coming out this year, and this as well. And they have that kind of escapist quality, don't they?
Yeah, you can really get absorbed in it, definitely. And working out who the killer and stuff is just, it's simple stuff, but it's just so enjoyable. Yeah. And the fact that it's a comedy as well, just you see it from a slightly different perspective, and it means you can sort of take ownership of those sort of murder mystery tropes that you see all the time, and it's like you can make a joke of it, which is really nice.
And I guess kind of just taking it right back to the very beginning of the thing, like, what are you hoping that audiences take away from the movie, especially if they're going into it knowing like nothing about the story, which is, I guess, how you want to go in with a murder mystery. Just
to get really lost in it, I think would be really nice. I think it would be one of those films when you walk out and you're like, God, I just want to go back into that world and just spend a bit more time there, because this sort of modern world's a bit rubbish. But just the way it looks, 1950s like West End London, it just ticks every box, doesn't it? It's and don't get stressed about trying to work out the killer is. Just enjoy the ride. That's what I'd say.